All right, so there hasn't really been much updates on the A's, whole new stadium situation in quite a long time. No real progress has been made in either direction. But for a lot of people, they think progress is being made in Las Vegas, and that is obviously because Cavill and Fisher have been meeting in Southern Nevada a couple times a month in the past couple of months. And to many, that seems like progress. And I mean, rightfully so. When you hear, A's ownership is meeting in Southern Nevada with Las Vegas government officials and etc., that sounds appealing. But I'm here to tell you, it really isn't for many reasons. So yeah, let's dive right into this. So, you might be asking, why are you so, adamant that these meetings in Las Vegas serve no purpose for the A's? They're not about the A's. That's what I think. Here's why. Rob Manfred has specifically said that he wants expansion. And then he didn't say when, but back in April, he did talk about cities that he wanted expansion in. In April, he talked about Las Vegas. And keep in mind, this is about a month before the whole MLB is allowing A's to move type of situation came out. He said, Montreal. He said Nashville. He said, a bunch of different cities that would be viable for an MLB team. Las Vegas being one of them. And, it's quite clear that he wants expansion. Expansion does a lot of great things for leagues. I mean, you can look at plenty of examples. They popularize the sport in some cases. They make plenty of money for the commissioner and the league because of expansion fees. And for those of you that don't know about that, if you're if you're a billionaire trying to start a team in a city, there is a lot of money to be spent to make that team. You obviously have to build a stadium. There are fees you have to pay, relocation fee, an expansion fee just to get the team itself, and then you have to build a stadium. You have to get all these approvals, and so it makes a lot of money. Now, if the A's move to Las Vegas, which I'm telling you right now, it won't happen, but let's say they move to Las Vegas, that money is nowhere to be found because the expansion team, A, wouldn't exist, and B, MLB would actually lose maybe even more than double the money because they're losing the Oakland market. And you might be saying, oh, well, the Oakland market really isn't that big because the A's are a small market. It's in the name, small market. True, the A's are a small market, but wouldn't a new stadium really change the physique of the team? I mean, everything from the culture to the amount of money, to the amount of nationally televised games. 100%. I mean, if you just look at the Howard Terminal renderings once, you can already tell that, going from the Coliseum to the Howard Terminal Stadium will be a complete change for the A's culture. They're no longer going to be looked at the way they're looked at right now. I'm telling you that. So my theory is, well, I think this is almost very hidden in plain sight, if you will. But my thought is Manfred is advising the Oakland A's, and he might be doing this with the Tampa Bay Rays with Montreal. I haven't really touched on that side, but he's wanting the Oakland A's to visit Vegas and romanticize Las Vegas as an MLB city to kind of glamorize it and show billionaires that Vegas can be a sports mecca. Vegas can be a sports town for baseball. And by doing this, instead of wanting the A's to move there and losing a market and having a team that won't be popular there in that city, he wants an expansion, which will be an entirely new team with instead of just either Oakland or Las Vegas as a market, you have Oakland and Las Vegas as a market, both new stadiums, and it works out for both sides because the A's get to stay in Oakland and make a lot more money for the league and for themselves, and Las Vegas comes into play. They make money, they get their team, and they make the league money. I think that's pretty clear. I mean, why would anyone want to lose a Bay Area market? Now, you might be saying, well, what about for football? Okay, football's different. You might be asking, why did the Raiders not stay in Oakland and just why did the Raiders why didn't they stay in Oakland, and why wasn't there an expansion team in Vegas, the same parallel to this situation? Well, that's quite different because it wasn't either Oakland or Vegas. It was going to be a different city regardless, whether it was LA or Vegas. That's a whole different story. It's not even close to being parallel with this story. With the A's, The big media story is it's Oakland or it's Las Vegas. And before it was Oakland or Las Vegas, Portland was on the table in Nashville. But now, in these later stages, it's either Oakland or Las Vegas. That's the media story. It's not what's going to happen, but it's the media story. And quite frankly, Vegas getting an expansion team is a win, actually. It's a win for the A's, it's a win for Vegas, and it's a win for Major League Baseball because money is to be made on all three accounts. And I honestly think there might be bribery involved. Maybe Manfred's saying, if you guys go visit Vegas and make it seem like such a good baseball town, maybe there's incentives. I don't know. Maybe. But with these frequent visits, you have to think, and with no real progress in Vegas, other than sites being explored in Southern Nevada. And keep in mind, I'm saying Southern Nevada because that's what the A's are saying. And they're saying Southern Nevada because a lot of their sites that they're seemingly coming up with aren't even in Las Vegas. They're just outside of Vegas, which is even worse. But the reason why they're doing these visits to explore stadium options, and none of them have been publicized, is for expansion. Expansion would make the league money. I went into detail on this already. And by exploring these options, it allows billionaires that want to start teams in a big market now, like Vegas, to already have this blueprint and schematic in their mind and take it when they want to start it. It could be in the next 5 years. Who knows? Expansion's a long process, and MLB is one of the last leagues that only has 30 teams. The NBA also wants to expand to Las Vegas probably in the near future, or relocate a team there, but probably expansion because they only have 30 teams too. You saw what happened with the NHL, and the NFL has expanded before pretty vastly. So thought I would talk about that a little bit. The A's move situation, I think, is a big bluff, and Cavill saying it's not is just putting pressure on Oakland politicians. Said that before, and these moves and these visits to Vegas are for the sole purpose of sparking up a relocation possibility for a billionaire or investor that wants to start a team in the southern desert. So, anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. Do you guys think, I'm correct? I think I'm correct because two markets, one in the Bay Area and one in Vegas, seems pretty like a win-win, doesn't it? But yeah, anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys later. And yeah, go A's.